Hello and welcome to Smart Tech. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Smart Tech once again, where we bring you the latest updates in the world of technology. And of course, right now and right about now, we are of course at Hive Collab, where we have two intelligent gentlemen going to discuss with us things about digitalizing the built environment. And of course, surrounding us, we are surrounded by a very big word, modernity. We're going to know more about modernity. We're going to know more about easy housing. What are these digitalized built innovations that we could actually adapt to, but as well as help to mitigate when it comes to climate change, and also all these areas that could be affecting the climate, of course, actions in Uganda. Now, of course, today we are delighted to have two gentlemen who are going to discuss with us two important this opportunity to let these gentlemen introduce themselves right in front of you. You're most welcome once again to Smart Tech.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
I will have Bob to start, and then you can, give us your full names, what you do, and then you can take it up from there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Clinton. It's a pleasure to be here on the Smart Tech Show. My name is Robert Bob Okello, and I serve as one of the co-founders of Modernity Technologies. At Modernity, we are simply trying to enable anyone from anywhere to be able to virtually tour any property at any time, using their internet-enabled devices. It could be on their smartphone, on their laptop. Just simplify the process of searching for property in Uganda and across Africa.
Kit.
Thanks, Bob, and good morning or good evening for the viewers. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me. My name is Wolf Bierens. I'm the CEO and founder of Easy Housing, and we are basically sustainable and affordable building technology, trying to close the affordable housing gap in East Africa and in other countries across Africa by using our proprietary circular and bio-based building technology, of which we'll be sharing more later.
Perfect. For the purposes of those who are watching us, you must stay tuned. Why? Because we are actually going to demonstrate these technologies that these gentlemen have been mentioning right about now. We are going to have you look at what are these technologies, what are these innovations that they're actually talking about. And just to know more, I know you have already mentioned about modernity, but can you please give us more depth about modernity? What is it about? What do you do? Give us that overview. Let the audience understand what exactly modernity does.
Absolutely, and thank you, Clinton. Now, to just give you a better picture of what we do as a Modernity, I want you to think about the last time you went looking for a property, either for rent or those of you who buy a house, here in Kampala or in Uganda in general. The chances are that you probably went through a broker, okay, and that broker then took you across town, to see different properties over a particular period of time. You possibly spent a lot of time moving around town, especially considering the traffic jam in the city. You possibly saw quite a number of houses before you actually zeroed down on the one that you like. And chances are that you also had to part away with some cash to pay the broker for every house they showed you, right? Now, we think that there is a better way to do this, as opposed to this very inefficient way where, a lot of time is spent, there's a lot of frustrations involved along the way, there's a lot of mistrust sometimes as well, but also it's quite costly because you're parting away with a lot of money in this entire process. And that's exactly where modernity comes in. So we streamline this entire process for you. We go around digitizing every property, and by digitizing, we create what we call a digital twin. A digital twin is simply a replica of the actual building as it's already built and as exists, okay? Now, one issue here is that sometimes as brokers are trying to sell you property, they'll send you pictures. You're not really sure whether that picture is of the actual house or not. But also the picture gives you just a perspective of the photographer. I show you what I want you to see, right? And with a digital twin or this replica of the building, we are actually able to capture the entire building and give you, in a sense, the virtual keys to enter and tour the property by yourself at any time, okay? Now, what this does is that in just one sitting, perhaps at the comfort of your home, or maybe as you're stuck in traffic jam, or somewhere in your office, you're actually able to virtually tour a number of properties in just one sitting within a very short time frame. You could look into 10 different properties, for example, in 10 different parts of the city, right? Without having to physically go there. And by the time you've virtually toured about 10 properties, you will have a sense of the ones that you like and the ones that you don't like. So when you decide to go for a physical visit, you have perhaps narrowed down your search from 10 different houses to maybe just 1 or 2 that were your top, right? And think about how much time you've saved by just doing that, but also how much money you've possibly saved yourself by doing this in just one sitting at the comfort of your home and at the comfort of wherever you are on your device. That is really the value that we are offering the market. But also there are a lot of other benefits that emerge from this. One, in terms of for the property owners on the other side, they're able to then get the people that are actually interested in buying or renting their house at a much faster rate. We have seen that this leads to about 14% increase in sales, right? On the other hand, the time that is saved by just avoiding this unnecessary movement is cut down by half, so 50% in terms of time savings.
So all this is situated around saving costs and
saving
time.
Saving time, yes. Exactly. But also there's a huge benefit, especially when it comes to the environmental impact of this. If you think about the environmental impact of a lot of cars being on the road, but even at another level, think about someone, let's say in the diaspora, who is looking for a house in Uganda. Perhaps they're planning to relocate, or maybe they're trying to move here for a job or whatever that's bringing them here for a long-term stay. They would traditionally have to come to Uganda prior to their official moving, do the property search, and then go back to wherever in the world they were primarily based before they can now move back, right? All these unnecessary flights have a lot of environmental impact as well. We're saying you can cut that off
Actually,
as well.
that's very interesting. And of course, I have so many questions for you, Bob. I have a lot to know about Mojanity, but of course, we have another important innovator in the house, and that is, of course, Wolf, who is going to tell us more about Easy Housing. That is more, of course, concerned with digitizing the built environment. Tell us more about Easy Housing. What is it about, and how best is this technology very impactful?
Thanks, Clinton. And it's wonderful to hear your story, Bob, and to see how we can leverage technology to make the housing market more sustainable, more accessible, more efficient, and also where you focus on the built environment, like on the existing building stock. Easy Housing tries to address the building stock that still has to be built, which we know is huge. Even just in Uganda, we have a building backlog of an estimated 2 million homes, which is mind-blowing if you think about it, like how many homes you have to build per day to catch up with that building backlog. And in order to address this in a sustainable way also, without having the environmental impact of traditional construction, we have to embrace new technologies for construction. And Easy Housing is one of those technologies. We have a sustainable, social, and scalable building technology, which we can use to bridge the building gap in a sustainable way. Let me zoom into the technology aspects of it a bit, since we're here to talk technologies today, and I'm also an engineer, so I'm very passionate about technology in general, also in the construction industry. I think traditionally the construction industry is considered conservative, not embracing technology so much, but you see a lot of change happening there. There's a lot of focus on innovative building materials, on digitalization, on prefabrication, and automation in the construction process. So what Easy Housing does, for example, let's first start with the digital aspect of it as well. We have a fully digitized digital twin as well. We use advanced 3D modeling software for BIM models, so that throughout the construction process we know exactly what we are building to the millimeter, basically. We can use that to create designs very efficiently through automated scripts, like automatically generating the shop drawings and the technical details from a design that we have made for a client.
I would like to start with you, Wolf, especially when it comes to this conservative kind of aspect of it. Why is it that this is very significant to your clients? What is the significance of having such a conservative kind of construction model, not only for clients, but even for the public and our audience at the moment? Why is it very important for them? To adapt to it, especially?
I think it comes down to a number of factors. Of course, in Uganda, there's a big informal building industry. Many people also build themselves, which is understandable considering their circumstances. But we also know that traditional construction, like brick and mortar, concrete, takes a lot of time, especially if you're incrementally building and saving for it yourself. So one way to overcome that is to have prefabrication where you can centralize or semi-centralize production of homes, more like a car factory, and basically using that process to improve the speed of construction, but also to enhance the quality control and the safety control of people in the building teams, and in general the construction speed. But not just that, also the prefabrication approach allows us to become very efficient in the production. Like we have a factory where we have working stations, and basically the parts of the homes, the frames that we prefabricate in the factory, they move through the factory like a car factory actually. And that entire process allows you to cut out inefficiencies. You're not affected by weather. You're not affected by long traveling times to site or muddy soil. So you can do that, all of that in a controlled environment, which is safer and faster and more sustainable in general.
Can I ask a question on the impact on affordability? How affordable is this construction? Of course, here in Uganda, Ugandans want to know how affordable this kind of technology is if they were to adapt to it. What is the impact on affordability?
Yeah, that's a very important question, Clinton. And I think Easy Housing was established with the mission to really provide sustainable, affordable housing. So also to not be a high-end developer, but to really be a concept and a building solution that can serve a very wide audience, because many people in the world lack affordable housing. So we also know that the typical project developer is not willing or able to solve this issue. So we have to come up with smart technologies and also designs to cover this issue. So we have a range of standard models which we've fully worked out digitally, which means that clients do not have to pay for the design process. And through the standardization in the process, as I just mentioned, and also the localization of building materials, we are able to offer homes starting from 26 million Uganda shillings only, including VAT for the shell homes. Now that's around $7,000, so that's really affordable. Of course, that doesn't include the land, but we know that many Ugandans have their own piece of land somewhere, so we can start helping them providing a home on their land in a fast, affordable and sustainable way.
Just one more question before I get to Bob. How long, normally, if you are to estimate preferably, does this construction take? We just want to know, if someone is to start construction with you, how long would it take for them to have a fully constructed house for them to actually live in and use?
Well, we can move very fast. Typically, because we use prefabricated timber, you don't have waiting times for the concrete to cure or to make the slab, for example. The construction speed in the factory is fast, so your typical waiting time from the point that you sign the contract until you get the key of your house is around 3 months. Just a side note, we're getting in so many subscribers at this point in time that we are building up a waiting list. So if you're interested, you should reach out fast so that we can serve you first. But yeah, around 3 months typically, and then you maybe need a few weeks to do your own finishings, etc. But yeah, I would say that's at least twice as fast as the typical construction process.
Highly appreciated. Thank you so much, Wolf. Over to you, Bob. I would like to pose the same question in terms of the impact on affordability, but also accessibility to the modernity technology. How can the Ugandans and how can anyone out there easily, is it possible for Ugandans to afford this technology that you are selling out there, and how can Ugandans easily access this kind of technology, Bob?
Absolutely, thank you so much. And I think, my brother Wolf was also had a lot of key things that in terms of the benefits that technology brings, right? Yeah. Just to drive affordability, but also in terms of just making sure that the housing deficit is addressed. We sort of come on the other end, making sure that built environment, the built houses can easily be found, right? But I think, easy housing is solving a very critical need because we have a huge housing deficit, especially for decent housing. So that's really, really fascinating what they're doing.
Yes.
Now, in terms of the affordability of our platform, we, first of all, operate on a business-to-business model, which means that we're directly working with property agencies and property companies. These are, companies that have a certain number of properties in their portfolio, right, that they either manage or sometimes that they own, right? And what we offer on the platform, we're able to digitize all their properties or their houses that they have on their portfolio, create those digital twins for them. And then we offer a platform where they're able to manage those properties in the sense that they're able to see who is visiting, from where they're visiting, and the goal is to really make sure that they can get as many leads as possible, and ensure that whatever house is in the market is there for a very short time, in terms of increasing the number of eligible buyers or renters that are coming across that property at their convenience. So in terms of costs that are associated, we simply charge a fee to create the digital twin itself. In other words, to digitize the building. And then for the platform, it's run on a subscription model. And the subscription model is right now, I think as low as about $20 a month for you to run on the platform. And for the digitization of the property, that's where the real work is. We right now charge about $300 for any property less than 500 square meters, right? And of course, we have other arrangements with especially the bigger companies that have more properties on their portfolio. We can always discuss these rates. But the key here is to ensure that, one, it's easy for these property managers to be able to get their property digitized in the first place. So we try to ensure that we remove any barrier of entry in that sense. But then, in terms of the other savings, for the side of the consumer, whoever is looking for a property, there is really no cost at the moment. They'll simply go online and be able to search for the property, and if the property owners are really making those properties available, they'll be able to have access to it at their convenience. The amazing thing is you can easily share a link, either on WhatsApp, on email, anywhere you can share a link, and someone will just open the link and voila, they have the property right in their hands, and they can virtually tour it anytime, anywhere, right? So the savings also come on the side of the people who are looking for property, right? I mentioned earlier that they don't have to be running around town, from one house to another trying to find their best fit or their next home, right? Because that's an important decision that you're making. This is going to be your home. So you want to make sure that whatever you find is really good for you. So we are really removing all that friction from them and really helping them save in that sense as well. But also in terms of the time, I think in this city we don't really put so much, value on the time. If you're stuck in traffic for about 3 hours, that is time you're losing as well, right? So if you think about how much time you're going to save, in a span of about 1 month as you're looking for that house, it's huge. If we reduce that size from 1 month to just a couple of days.
Something is ringing in my mind, Paul.
Yeah.
What is the significant aspect of these housing solutions that we are offering? Can you discuss with us the significance aspect? How significant? In terms, but before we even go into significance, the sustainability aspect as well, if you could also bring it on table. How sustainable can these housing solutions be?
Right.
Yes, Paul.
That's a very good question in terms of sustainability, but also the feasibility side of things. Now, when we talk about the housing deficit, I think from where we stand, there are two aspects involved there. One is on the side that Wolf is solving with Isabel. Easy housing, right? That we don't have enough decent and affordable housing available to begin with, right?
Yeah, sure.
But on the other hand, which is where we are mostly operating, is that we also have a lot of unoccupied real estate in this city, right? There's a lot of houses in the town, in the city that are just redundant. There are no occupants, right? Yeah. So what we want to do is make it easy for people to find those kinds of properties. They've already been built, but people don't know about them, or it's out of reach in many senses, right? So really helping on that side to ensure that one, we can easily perhaps accelerate the occupancy rates, right? That people are moving into these houses, okay? So that's one way of also addressing this housing deficit. But also, we're able to see that maybe the houses that exist actually do not meet the current needs, right? And perhaps it's because of affordability, they're priced in a way that the average Ugandan can't afford. And again, that's where, easy housing comes in to ensure that we're building houses that people can afford, right? Yeah. So these are the two different angles in terms of how you begin to address some of these housing deficits, right? But we are really, really focused on ensuring that the already built houses are being occupied. And so removing any friction there in between that leads to that problem in the first place.
And to jump into that, I think obviously the most sustainable building is the one that's already there, right? Because using the unused housing stock can address that issue without having the impact of new construction. So there's a lot of potential there. Even looking at maybe vacant office spaces, retrofitting them to living spaces. You can do that in augmented reality in your tours, so a developer can test if there is appetite for it.
Absolutely.
On the other hand, if you look at the new construction that has to take place, we know that the conventional construction has a huge impact on the environment. It's not just the carbon footprint of cement and steel, but it's also the resource extraction. Around 50% of all resources are extracted for the construction industry. Like, we're depleting our sand reserves for concrete. If you look at all the impact of mining of heavy and large volumes of materials, it's devastating. Also, the amount of demolition waste that traditional construction causes, because it's not circular. It's like concrete is typically linear. You can't retrofit it. You have to demolish it at the end of life. The lifespan of concrete is typically, not much more than 100 years, because then the reinforcement starts to wear out. So it's also interesting that embracing timber or engineered timber building concepts can really jump in that gap. And I think it's good to spend a few minutes to explain why sustainably sourced timber is a good building material, because there's a lot of misconceptions about timber construction. Even though if you look around the world, there's a lot of countries that are already building with timber frame construction for residential, like many countries in Europe or the US or Japan, like most of their homes are already built with timber, at least for the residential purposes.
Actually, in light with that, is it okay if you also tell us about your impact map so far, especially in Uganda? How many clients or how many customers or how many Ugandans have you been able to, construct for this kind of technology with?
Sure. Yeah, so to give a bit of insight in the numbers, I've been into timber construction in the Netherlands for around 10 years, and over there we've built a few hundred homes in also an engineered timber building concept. A few years ago I decided to also bring that to other markets, and we've been incorporated in Uganda around half a year ago. We've done a few pilots, and we're now constructing a few projects for clients. And since we launched our campaign around a month ago, we've already received over 200 people subscribing for our models. So we see a lot of traction, a lot of interest. So that's very promising. And that's good because, as I said, timber construction is a very old and very reliable way of building. In Uganda, we make sure that it's coming from sustainably managed forests. So our partner, Busoga Forestry Company in close to Jinja, has huge sustainable plantation forests. And actually using the timber from these types of partners ensures that they have the revenue coming in to sustain those plantations. So that means that they keep replanting and even expanding their forest area as the demand for timber grows. So it's not cutting trees, it's actually stimulating forests by building with timber. Another beautiful thing about trees is that they capture CO2 from the atmosphere. They clean the air, they capture CO2, and they store it in their timber. Now, once a forest matures, the sort of accumulation of biomass stagnates because it's a climax ecosystem. But when you use the timber and you sustainably harvest just at maximum sustainable yield from that forest, you keep plucking out the timber, much like regenerative agriculture, while the forest keeps growing. So you harvest within the capacity of the forest. You store that carbon into the timber structures, which have an engineered lifespan of at least 100 years. In that process, we make sure that the timber is properly sawn, kiln dried, pressure treated against termites, so they cannot be affected by termite attack. We design in a way that the weather does not affect the lifespan of the house, so we have proper technical
because
details.
The weather is a very huge aspect, especially I was about to ask about that, the weather. How can the weather be? Is it a challenge? Is it one of the challenges that you're facing when it comes to construction of these houses? Because do we think that weather could affect the timber in any way?
No,
the sun maybe being too hot or something like that.
It's actually very easy to when you do good technical detailing of timber construction and you have quality control in the factory and in the building process. It's actually easier to design homes that have a good lifespan and low maintenance. I can give you a few examples. Like You all know, like the homes that have been constructed brick and mortar that do not have proper humidity protection or moisture protection because the membranes were not put correctly or whatever. So the brick wall at the bottom starts to suck up the humidity. You see the plastering coming off. You maybe see black spots of fungus. And you have to do a lot of maintenance to prevent that while you have maybe fungus or humidity issues inside. We don't have that issue because our timber structures are elevated above the ground, so they can always ventilate. They're protected against rain, and because of natural ventilation, any moisture can always get out. A second example is when it comes to foundation works. Like many homes in Uganda are not properly equipped with a foundation, so you start seeing cracks in the walls or near the roofs. And in a brick and mortar structure, that's very hard to fix. While timber is a lightweight structure, so it's flexible. It's a very strong fiber material that is easy to calculate. For example, earthquake resistance, wind resistance, and it cannot crack like a brick and mortar house. So it's much easier to assure the lifespan and the low maintenance of a timber structure that way.
Thank you all. For those who are watching us, we are cutting off for a very short break. We'll be back talking more about digitizing the built environment. Stay with us.
Smart 24, driving business.
Hello, with everybody for you. I did just shake below. What is up on tell?
Luxury redefined at Seasand Hotel as you indulge in the splendor of elegant living fit for the royalty that you are. Step into comfort, pampering and blissful customer-centric service as you select from our range of comfy, exquisite living quarters furnished to meet with your royal preference. Surrounded by scenic beauty, our tropical setting allows you to escape the glamorous ordeal of city life. Our ambient green gardens will guide you to a place of revitalizing rest. The 3-star restaurant caters to your palate, serving your choice menu ranging from exotic cuisines to local delicacies. Our chefs will serve you full-course meals for a truly out-of-this-world culinary experience. Our fully stocked bar to whet your throat, from renowned global brand whisks, brandies, gins, beers and wines to our locally celebrated beverages, you will not lack for any brewage. It's an all-new experience in the East at Seasand Hotel. So visit today at plot 15 to 19 Spire Road, Ginger, or contact us on +256 751 719 960 and +256 785 354 614 for reservations. Seasand Hotels, luxury redefined.
Say goodbye to paperwork and travel costs. Now every MTN customer can register to invest in securities anytime and anywhere with Zabu in a few simple steps. Step 1. Dial *292#. Step 2. Select option 1. Register with Zabu. Step 3. Enter your full names. Step 4. Enter your national identification number. Step 5. Enter your national identification card number. In 24 hours, you will receive an SMS confirming your registration. Congratulations, you are now ready to invest.
Smart 24, driving business.
Welcome back from the commercial break, and of course, as I mentioned, we are going to demonstrate exactly the technologies that we have been talking about. All these technologies that are surrounding the digitalized built environment are going to be demonstrated for you to exactly get the picture of what we have been talking about. Now, with me is Organ Pacific, and I'm very excited to meet you. For our audience, we are going to act out a very simple play here. I'm going to be your client today. You're going to demonstrate to me how modernity exactly works. I'm your client. You're going to tell me I want to preferably look at one of two of the maybe housings that you have affordable. Make sure it's affordable for me as a client, but I would want to know how exactly modernity works. Please take this opportunity to explain to us, but not only me, even our audience, how does this technology work exactly for any normal client that would approach modernity?
Thank you so much, and as modernity, it's a pleasure to have you as our client. And of course, I want to emphasize that with modernity, you never go wrong. What happens in this entire technology is that we have, like, let's say, we are going to start from the process of getting this scan up and how you can access it. So what happens is a scan technician, yes, goes live on ground, and of course, they access the premises and make sure it is actually ready for the scan to take place. So what happens is, I'm just going to take you through something brief here. So when the scan technician goes on ground, so they do the scan, right? And, okay, so what happens is, a scan technician will go on site and analyze the place, scan the place. We shall do the scans. Of course, this is using a lot of sophisticated machine, heavy machinery, to make sure that all the details are captured, right? And when the details are captured on site, we go then in the back end, the modernity team, the technical team behind there, using a lot of like advanced AI tools, yeah? And of course, these advanced AI tools, it does a lot of, like, let's say, the image mappings, the imagery, and all that, yeah? When all these factors are blended in, we come up with a module, right? So now this module we come up with now, later on, turns out to be something that actually gives you a replica. We're talking about a 3D twin, yeah? We're talking about a digital twin of this premises. So it's just like, in layman term, I would explain like, it's like a photocopy of a building, yeah? Someone be amazed, how do I photocopy a building? Yeah, we give you a digital replica of the same building. So, like we see here, what you're seeing here, let's say one of the premises now, when you see here, this is one of the places that I like to use the term modernized. Yeah, I don't know, we're modernity. We got all the pieces and brought into one, something you can actually access in your mobile device. So now, you see this now. The bit with this is...
Please show it to the camera.
Yes. Now this is one of the places. So this technology gives you the privilege to actually just walk through this space, right? Yeah, you walk through this space as though you are there. And now, the bit with this is you don't need a lot of sophisticated tools to view this. So you just tap here and I can share this, right, in a link. So the beauty with this is I can share with you a link on WhatsApp, a link on your DM. I can even just put a link, even on text message, I can send you a link and you see how to open it on your web-supported device. And of course, for those who have access to, let's say, some of, like, let's say, sophisticated or advanced devices like this virtual reality headset, now with this, you get a chance to actually, because now you saw the other one, we're moving from our devices, right? But this actually puts you in the building, right? So now with this, you're actually moving the building, and when you turn around, you'll be there, though, you're actually in the actual building. And now, one important feature about this is that the technology that modernity offers is, let's say you're doing you're looking for a house accommodation. There are a lot of details you get access to, because you can get the actual dimension of the room, so you know whether your chair will fit the door when you're moving in or not. That's the beauty of this technology. And of course, one other thing is you actually get access to the floor plan. Yes, you get access to the floor plan and all this. So the beauty, this technology actually, it gives you the room. You get to know all about the house you're going for without having to go there physically. You know all the details to the dot.
All right, so I would want to know, what are some of the challenges that you have faced with different clients when it comes to implementation of this?
The major challenge we face with clients is that, of course, you see, like most of the viewers out there, right? right now when you're hearing this is too good to be true, right? So people are always skeptical, right? People always find it hard to believe this, that will this really work? But then the good news is, after they give it a try, they're all wowed, yeah? They'll all be like, wow, wow, and that's always, when you ask all our comments, they're like, wow, that actually, they'll be like, words can't explain this enough, so the best guess is like, give it a try, yeah? So normally I tell all the clients out there, don't judge me by my words, give it a try, and you know exactly what this is.
Thank you so much, Pacific.
Thank you.
Highly appreciate it. Good. After having explained what modernity is all about, now we narrowed it down to easy housing. And of course, Wolf with me is going to demonstrate to us what happens on every stage of the construction. We know it's a construction very unique with a very unique technology, very unique innovation, but he's going to break it down for us. How is it done? And he's going to also look at the circular economy, tell us more about how this can be very impactful for Ugandans, but why should we adapt to this kind of technologies importantly. Thank you so much, Wolf. The stage is all yours. Talk to us.
Yeah, thanks, Clinton.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's already mentioned the importance of choosing the right building materials and how sustainably sourced timber is one of them for sustainable construction. So basically how our building process works is that we source the materials as much as possibly locally within Uganda, stimulating sustainable forestry here. So we bring those materials to our workshops. So we have carpentry workshops or factories. We now have one close to Entebbe, near Kajansi, where we prefabricate the frames of the house. So basically the carpenters in the workshop frame together all the beams into frames, which can later be transported on a truck to site. And then on the site, typically it only takes like 1 or 2 days to screw the entire home together, and you have your shell home finished within 2 days. This also means that you're not affected by rainfall on site. You have a very short building process on site, which is also more cost efficient because you don't have to drive to site that much. You'll save a lot of costs and emissions in the logistics efficiencies. But let's zoom in a bit on the circular economy, right? Yeah. We currently have a linear economy in many aspects, like we extract resources from the earth, we put them into a product where it can't be reused or taken apart again, and then we end up with a lot of waste. Now, for a lot of reasons, this is not a good thing, right? We end up with waste, we extract resources that are being depleted, we create a lot of carbon emissions in the process and a lot of environmental pollution and ecosystem degradation. So obviously we have to transition to a circular economy. And the circular economy, in short, is not just about recycling waste, it's actually about a holistic design and product approach where you design products and processes from the start to not create waste at the end of life to begin with. So the way we do that is that we use high quality screws like this one from Rotoblas, and we screw everything together in a way that it can be taken apart again. Okay. Now we'll spend a little bit more time on these screws at the start of the construction. For example, these are imported from Italy because they're not available in Uganda itself. Okay. As you can see, it's solutions for building technology, specifically focusing on timber construction, connection materials, like these screws. Now you can see this screw, it's not your typical screw. This screw does not wear out. You can reuse it over and over. It has a very high strength, and it even has all the engineering values calculated thoroughly by the manufacturer, so we know exactly how strong the house will be and how many screws we will be using. So the whole house is built with, positioned with these screws all over the place. Yes. Whenever you're doing the fixing and the fittings, exactly, they are done with these screws. Yes, even joining all the beams of the structure together is done with these screws. Okay. So the nice thing is that this prefabrication with circular design principles allows you actually to prefabricate, but also to incrementally expand your house without having to demolish anything in your house, to make modifications, to do repairs, to add extra bedrooms in case your family expands, or even when you have to relocate to a new position, you can actually demount your house, put it on a truck again, and move it to your new location. So it shows that throughout the design of the product, we have integrated the value, maintenance and reuse in line with the circular economy. And it doesn't mean it's a temporary structure. On the contrary, actually designing with circular principles allows you to even further enhance the lifespan of your product or your house, because you can keep adapting it to the circumstances you're facing, right? With brick and mortar concrete, that's simply impossible. So that's a bit of circular economy. And also, so we'll spend maybe a few $100s more at the start on these screws, but then the value you can create with that is endlessly higher for the client as well. And to give you an example, because we have a circular building asset, it actually allows us to establish a rent-to-own scheme where people can already start living in their home, paying a monthly installment, but it's not just rent, it's rent-to-own, meaning that after 5 years, you have fully paid off your home loan or your rent-to-own scheme, and then the ownership of the house is transferred to the owner. So instead of paying rent that goes down the drain, you're actually building up wealth, which is a very important way for especially low to middle income families to build up wealth instead of throwing it away on rent. And through this rent-to-own scheme, we can offer our smallest models from a price of just 520,000 Uganda shillings per month. Which is lower than most rent, but then after 5 years you own your structure. And the reason we can do that is because financial partners can see the value of a circular building asset, can see the impact of the building concept on the environment, like the positive impact on the environment and on the local economy. So they are willing to invest in this revolving housing fund and these rent-to-own schemes. And because it's a circular asset, like worst case, in case a client is not able to pay for an extended period of time, we will discuss with the client, first if there is a need for debt restructuring, but if that fails, we can repossess the house, take it back to the factory, and the value of the house is not lost. So because we don't have stranded assets in the fund, it actually allows us to provide an affordable rent-to-own scheme to a lot of clients this way.
One last question as we wind up, Wolf. The last question would be, what are those potential advancements that Easy Housing is looking at for the future? Potential advancements that you're looking at for the future?
Well, our big audacious goal is to become the biggest design and build company in Africa, and also creating the biggest...
But the journey starts from Uganda.
Positive impact, exactly. So we launched this new campaign in Uganda around a month ago. The reception has been very positive so far. So our goal for Uganda is to scale up to at least 1,000 homes next year. And considering the current numbers we're seeing, I think that's very possible. Also considering the supply chain as well as the capacity of the sustainable forestry partners, that's well within our reach. So that's the short-term goal for Uganda. And then as we scale up our operations in Uganda, we're looking into expansion to Kenya, to Rwanda, and a few other markets as well.
Thank you so much, Wolf, for this wonderful presentation. This has been really, but give me a high five. Give me a five.
Thanks, Clinton.
This has been good.
Yeah.
For those watching us, thank you so much for being a part of Smart Tech. And I believe that those who have been looking for those digital affordable housing solutions, these two, Mojanity and Easy Housing, should be good solutions for you for the start. And I believe that there is so much that we have learned from this Smart Tech episode. And I believe that as we continue to bring for you more episodes ahead, we shall continue to delve into the world of technology as we continue to bring out those latest breakthroughs for you to be updated. Thank you so much for being a part of Smart Tech. Stay smart, stay connected.